And going up, you get all kinds of clearance in there. But if you're tall and you want to run this all the way down, which we know Kevin is not tall, so the seat will probably never all the way be down. Unless Brittany drives, then the seat might be down because she's a little bit taller than Kevin. Don't tell anybody. What's up, Lite Nation? Today, we're going to be doing some wiring, some more wiring, some relocating, some sound deadening, and some heat proofing the interior. But that's what we're doing today. So let me show you what we got. All right, so the first thing we're going to be installing is this cool under seat mount bracket for the driver's side for the ARB twin pumps. This is from American Adventure Lab, and it mounts the dual pump underneath the seat and gives you this cool little bracket. So when the factory seats are back in, or any seats actually, because we've put this under other seats before, this is the part that'll show underneath the seat, and you'll have an on-off switch for your pump, which we're not going to use because Kevin has it on the dash, so this will be blocked off. But this will be your output to your air, and the reason we're doing that is because I wanted to get rid of it used to sit back there. All the cage is going to be really pretty back there, so we're gonna knock it off of there and put it under a seat. And with that, you know, he has heated and cooled seats in there now. So I gotta mount these, are the seat switches. So I'm gonna mount these. In the Demon, they were mounted in the center console, but I have another idea. So we'll get to that in a minute. I gotta pick a switch out because I'm gonna wire that rear dome light, probably this guy right here. And then we are going to get into this box in a minute. I am gonna be using some ballistic dynamat basically, or ballistic sound deadening. I've had this for a long time. I've been wanting to use it in something. It's a whole kit, so we are gonna line the entire Jeep floor with this sound deadening stuff. And this also acts as a heat barrier because it has this aluminum top on it. But also, so this is a high density foam style insulation for heat. So this is the other stuff that we're gonna use on the interior. That's what we're gonna get into today. All right, now that I got this thing on the bench, you can see how this works. Factory rear seat rails go right here underneath this. So this sits right underneath the back of the seat. This guy will bolt in right here, and that is the side of your seat. So your seat will sit on here. And then this is your anti-children kick the compressor plate, and then your compressor just mounts on there. I'm gonna have to get a little creative because on ours we also have the manifold because we run the front and the rear locker off of this. So I'm sure I'll figure something out. I'll probably just mount this somewhere probably in here maybe, because I can. I don't know. We'll see. And see if it clears the seat. But for now, I got to get this thing disassembled so I can get that thing assembled. All right, so I just went to get the driver's seat and we set it all up on the bench here, and I noticed a slight problem. I'm not 100% sure, but I do know that these will sit flat in the pan of the Jeep, and this is pretty roughly close to where that's gonna sit and that's gonna sit, so everybody should be just about happy. This will sit flat on the floor because it's on the same plane as the bottom of the seat rail. And then I noticed this. If you look down inside of there, that's the motor, that's the fan for the heated and cooled seats. And it looks like with this rail that guy just might rub. Again, the seat is all the way forward, so it will come all the way back. It might touch the top of the compressor. I'm gonna grind these two fins flat so that the top of this is flat. Just these two. It should clear everybody else. I don't think anybody else is gonna be in the way. The seat is all the way down. It will go up. And going up, you get all kinds of clearance in there. But if you're tall and you wanna run this all the way down, which we know Kevin is not tall, so the seat will probably never all the way be down. Anyway, unless Brittany drives, then the seat might be down because she's a little bit taller than Kevin. Don't tell anybody. All right, now that we got the seat in there and it's all the way down, we do have a sliver of clearance between that fan and this compressor motor. So that's a win-win. I can still get a hose into this. Everybody looks happy. So this is probably where she's gonna live. I just have to run these 2 lines. This is the rear, this is the front, and then this was the power and actuators and everything that used to run to the back that now no longer have to run up this. I think I'm gonna pull it out and I'm gonna make it go down the tunnel and under just to give me some more room over here, and I have plenty of cable. And there's a lot of room that runs down the tunnel and stuff. So I'm gonna tuck that in there because I also have to run all of this. So this is all the heated seat stuff. This is the plug that I need to put in the dash. And then power for it, which has to be ran off ignition. So all this is gonna go up the center console also. Should be a pretty nice install. I think I have one more trick up my sleeve. So now that the seat's out, you have a passenger in the back or whatever, you have this floor duct. You know, so if the heat's on and the floor heat's on, it's gonna run right into the compressor. So I was like, we need to go around that. So I went upstairs. I keep everything. So this is some ducting out of like a vintage air kit that I didn't need. So I'm gonna cut it right here. I'm gonna put that over it. I'm gonna run this under here. And then I found this thing and it looks like it'll fit right here. And it definitely clears the seat rail because the seat rail just goes straight up from here and across. So I am going to cut this guy off, and then I can attach it to the end of this, hook that end up to that end, and that end up to that end, and get rid of this ducting that's going to go right into the compressor. With that being gone, then I can take this guy and mount it on a plate right here because this won't be here. So that's what we're going to do. I mean, that literally took me like 3 minutes. So now I'm just gonna go around and then this will get attached here. And now you still have floor heat in the rear and it's not heating up your compressors when you're snow wheeling. And this I think is going to be the final version. Another note is you have to run the ARB air chuck under the seat because if you run a standard one, they're too long and they hit the door. Everybody is clear of the seat now, so this should work really well. Now I just got to get it in the Jeep. But before I put it in the Jeep, I know I want to dynamat the floor, so now that I know everything runs for that, this side of the floor should be okay. I still need to do the heated seats, so I'm going to do that next. And I think I got an idea for those too. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to see if I can get them right here in the side of this. So I'm gonna have to take all this out. All right, now that we have the dash completely torn apart, there is nothing inside of here, and I do believe that the depth of this switch, even with the harness, will fit inside of here. Catskins sends you, when you buy the heated cool seats, this cool little template. So if I line this guy up just like this, and I'm gonna try to eyeball center of this square will be centered in this. I'm gonna go ahead and cut that out. And this is either gonna work or I'm gonna owe Kevin a new center dash. Yeah, that worked great. This panel was surprisingly thin. Like I could have done that with a razor blade, but I do love my trusty file. I had to take that one screw out down here to pull this out just enough to get this big old guy through the back of here. But yeah, it fits. That looks great. I think it looks awesome. Now I just need to do the other side. And just like that, that one is in. So they worked out really well. Again, I just had to take out the one screw down here to pull that panel out just enough to get this big guy behind there. But now this will run down the inside of the center console and then down into the seat. But I have one more thing to do, and that is to mount this switch for the Fitzer valve thing that's underneath. I don't like this switch at all, and I'm gonna rip this thing open and show you what it actually is. It just reverses the polarity from that way to this way. So it opens and closes. And I don't like this switch, and let me cut this open and I'll show you what it looks like. I'll just cut this guy open. And this is just, but this just reverses the polarity to this, which is the actual motor. Negative and positive coming in. When you go this way, it jumps negative to negative, but it swaps it on this side. So I have a better switch that'll show you what it does. And this is basically the same switch. It just takes these loops that they have on here. It's actually right there in the cross. So when you power this way, it uses these two, so it goes straight through and just out. When you go this way, it unlocks this side and it swaps the polarity. This switch is much more shallower and doesn't have this trigger sticking out of there. So I am going to put this guy down in here, so it'll be right here in that panel. So I'm gonna use the same Catskins template and put it right there and try to cut out those two holes and get it as close to this as I can. And I'll put that switch right there. All right, so we already started chopping up some of the wiring, like that went all the way to the back, because this now only has to go to the compressor, which sits here, and not all the way back there. So we got that far. But then I realized one thing, that I need two switched powers for the heated seats. I do have a big power cable, but I need to make them run off ignition so that when you turn the vehicle off, you don't leave your seats on, because that would be terrible. So then I had this idea. I was gonna use the old auxiliary power port that was in here, because that cable is right here, but somebody's already ran some wires off of it already. One of which goes to the amp to turn the amp on with the ignition, and the other one I had stolen before, that I remember now, for the exhaust valve. This blue wire is off ignition so that you can only move the valve with the ignition on. So what I'm gonna do, basically use this cool little thing that I just came up with. So here's your three relays, you know, your driver's seat, passenger seat, and the exhaust valve. So what these will do is when ignition is thrown, which is the black wire, it'll turn on basically all of these relays to use battery power to power the seat, that seat, and the valve. The reason I'm doing it this way is because the seats and the valve all have their own switch. So I don't need to use a switch to turn on the relay. I need the relays to be powered so that the switches work for the three things. And then when you turn the ignition off, all the relays shut off so that you can't use them anymore. So that's why they're kind of wired a little differently. So I'm not using a switch to turn on the relays. I'm using ignition to turn on the relays so that all the switches work. Basically, we'll get this guy bolted into this pre-existing hole that I just drilled out. And I'm going to drill another one right next to it. And that'll be my ground strap for both of the seats, because they have their own power and ground harness that runs off of them. So I'll run them under the dash here, and then I'll ground and power them to the relays, and then I'll rewire the Fitzer valve thingy to run off that third relay. So let's get these guys in. We're almost ready. And then I still have to run a switch to the back for the dome light in the back, but we'll figure that out in a minute. I'm gonna get this plugged in first. And my new clamp showed up today, so that is awesome. So before I go any farther, I can get the reservoirs up on the bar. Like, I just got these on Amazon. They're 1.75" tube to 2.5" canisters. There were some not so great reviews on these clamps because they were putting them on Can-Ams, and these aren't the strongest looking things, but for this application they should be just fine because we're not thrashing and bouncing around through the desert or whatever they're doing with them. So these should be just fine. All right, so we got them mounted up there. And as you can see, well, I need to break these lines loose and then rotate it so that this whole canister rotates. I'm not gonna do that right now because there's, I think, 250 pounds of nitrogen in this canister. And if I crack that line, we're gonna have oil everywhere. So we're not gonna do that yet. But as you can see, they will fit. And this is plenty strong enough. I mean, they're very strong. For what they are and where they're gonna be, they're gonna be perfect. With that being said, I did get the wiring done. So we're all put together. All of our dome lights are all wired up and installed, and the factory dome light connector has been attached to its dome light. Brand new. So those will get wired up in a minute. The Versatable and everything is wired into this. These are for the switch for the roof light, the dome light, and the Versatable is plugged in. So everything is tucked in really nice. I can't show you right now because I don't have a battery in the Jeep. All of this wiring is back up. So this is the compressor wiring, the under seat power. This is the power for the seats. We did get the switches in. Everything is tucked up in here really nice. Even the air line is ran under the dash, up and over, down and around. So I got one air line here, and then the rear one. The rear one comes out of the floor right here, which is why I put this piece in here. So I wanted to get this through the floor and sealed up before we get any farther. And now, finally gonna vacuum this thing out one more time, get the floor as clean as possible, and I am gonna start dynamating now. And if you are gonna do this at home, these floor vents just pop out and they just put on there. So we'll get rid of the floor vents. I'm going to take a couple of screws up, a couple of harnesses back up. I'll probably pull this out of the way and dynamat up behind it and then put it back down. I'm not going to take it out, but I am going to loosen up all the bolts and pull this off. I probably won't do these. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll just pop this up just to get a piece of dynamat all the way up into here. What else? The floor in the middle, I'm probably gonna try. I don't know, we'll see when I get there. But I'm just gonna take all that up, flip it up over the center console so I can do all that floor and the firewall. I'm gonna go up as far as I possibly can because there's a lot of heat in there. And then these towers, I'm gonna strip this carpet off these towers because Kevin wants these towers done too. And then I'm gonna build caps for them. But I have enough flange left to make a cap to this. So I will make a cap that'll bolt on to this thing. So I'm gonna dynamat up to here right now because I wanna get the floor done so I can start getting the interior back in it. I still have to figure out what color paint that is, but we can do that after as well. All right, well, it's coming along. I definitely suggest getting a roller. I've done this quite a few times and it's really hard to do it without a roller. I mean, it is still aluminum, so this is still really sharp. So if you're like putting it down with your hand, you will slice up your hand pretty easily. So definitely get a roller and it really gets into the nooks and crannies. We'll start on the other side. We'll get the other side all the way up to here also, and then we'll go the long way and then patch in the fenders and do the back. This is a very long process. Make sure you you get all your seat holes. This one's right there. I got to cut it out. The carpet bungs. These hold down the carpets. The cool part is you can just push it over the studs and then just take the tar off and you're left with a stud. Should be pretty good. Listen to that. Sounds like concrete. Well, it's a new day and I got all of the front done and then I ran out of material. Go figure, right? So it was not a full box, so that's my bad. So I got another box coming in another day. But now that I have the front done, I can put the front all back together. We are gonna finish installing the aluminum stuff. So I'm gonna put this in there. This is just more heat stuff. So Kevin wanted extra. So now we'll just line this with that, the aluminum stuff over here. So this is just a foam, high density foam with aluminum backing for some more sound deadening and heat. So I will get the front done. I'll whip that out real quick because that's easy. And then we'll go ahead and get the front put back together, get the seats in, get them wired up, make sure everything in the front works. I'll get the carpet back in the front and everything. And then tomorrow, I'll start on the rear. And there you have it, folks. It's a foam. This stuff is extremely sticky. That stuff I showed you at the beginning. The bottom of this is super sticky. It's very easy to work with. It goes into everything, but super sticky, like sticks to your fingers. It's crazy. Yeah, so now we're gonna get the carpet and try to get the front carpet back in here so that we can figure out all the stuff that's under the seats and get the front seats back in, because that's probably gonna be the hardest part. And now we can get the console back in. All right, so we have everything back in. The carpet's in. Yes, I know I have to finish this side, but this will flip up. The hardest part now is going to be getting the seat over this, because it goes under this foot, but this has to bolt into that. Yes, I understand. It's kind of complicated. But right now, everybody is hooked up. All the airlines are hooked up. All the manifold and everything. Everybody's hooked up. This is loose because I got to push this back in. I got to be able to squeeze this out of the way when I push this back together. So basically what I have to do now is I have to get the seat in here and then slide the compressor under, put the bolts in, and then bolt this guy to that guy and plug the seat in and plug in the heater and the power for the heater. So this is what we're going to get in here now. Wish me luck. This is going to be the most difficult part, is getting the seat in there. All right, there she is. That's nice and sturdy. Got our block off plate. I gotta figure out a way to secure that right to that lip, but that's where it wants to sit anyway, so that's cool. I don't know if you can get in there, but we are really close. But everything does work. All right, well, I quickly realized that I can't get the center console in with both seats in, so I had to take that guy out and just kind of shift it over. But I wanted to make sure everybody was plugged in first, so now I can go ahead and get this guy into there. All right. So the console is in, cup holders, console, floor, awesome. Now I gotta put the console back in. Ta-da! Will you stay there? Yes, you will. In case you're wondering, it is very cold outside because it is snowing. So I have the rest of this stuff on order. Should be here in the next day. I'm not going to put the sill plates in yet because I'm going to have to clean them because there's a little bit of overspray on them and stuff. So I'll wait on that. I will get the back done. I do have to build caps, but that's going to probably be in the next video. But I'm super excited that all of the compressor and everything fit under the seat, along with all of the air solenoids that are under there. So front and rear lockers are all under the seat. Super excited about that. Cleaned up everything. No more wiring down the sill plate. That's super awesome. Anyway, I'm going to let you guys go right now. We'll be back. We will do the back next time. Thanks so much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe and share. And you can get all your Lite Brite merch and decals at litebritstudios.com. See ya! We will be using some of, that's not what I wanted that to be. Oh. Okay, well, cut this video clip out, but those are pretty dope. Oops, I forgot a panel. Front one's almost done. And this goes up here, and that goes there. Ta-da! Now the front's done.